A very good day to you. Welcome to Herman Manyora's channel. My name is Jadiel Kabiro. Always glad that you've joined us for this political conversation. A conversation that I hope will be able to shape this country even as we progress towards the 2022 presidential elections. I'm joined by the one and only Herman Manyora. Sir, how are you doing? It's a Friday. Do you have that Friday feeling?
Kabisa.
Huh?
Vibes.
Unaenda wapi leo?
Some of them should be private places. I'm not your age.
Okay, let's talk about what is happening within the political arena. Deputy President William Ruto, they're saying the DP is lamenting abroad. The DP has spoken so much about what is happening in the country. Some of my people I was talking to, they were saying DP Anachoma is speaking about things about our country abroad, things that he probably shouldn't take out there. What do you think he hopes to achieve when he speaks about election rigging, when he speaks about graft, 100 billion getting lost through institutions that are not even well organized? What do you think he hopes to achieve in America?
If you are in America, and abroad in general, you are hoping to sway international opinion. You are hoping to have some form of sympathetic ear and attention. Because we have to agree that the international community may not have a direct influence, but they do influence elections, especially in Africa, to some extent. So he's hoping for that. That acceptability. One who can only see it is a little coming too late. But he's also hoping to up his game in this country so that these people are saying, you see, this thing we have even raised with Americans, you know. Yeah, we are, you know, Ruto is not a joke. Amenda kuambia hata wa America. So that because these things, the psychology part of it is also good in an election.
Do you think it makes him look more presidential? You know, you've always said that these elections, when it comes to a percentage of the people that are going to vote are going to look who seems more presidential, who doesn't seem more presidential. You look at him speaking like a diplomat over there, speaking with Americans. Does he look presidential?
Ruto may say very many good things in America. He may look good in America. He may do he may gain, whatever he does. But there's only one thing that negates everything he'll do in America. To Americans and the Western world and even some of these developed Asian countries, you cannot disagree with your government and your president and still remain deputy president. That you're in a choma kila kitu. That destroys him. The things you are saying, according to these civilized people in civilized society, you cannot disagree with the head of state, with the president you serve as deputy, and still say, remain there to say the things you are saying while you are the DP. So that negates everything Ruto will do in America or say. Nobody will take him serious.
So
if he had resigned from his position and he was saying those things in America, they will be received. He will get the attention he's trying to seek. But for now, they just listen to you and laugh.
You know, it seems like he's telling his side of the story because the president said he's at Sagana, probably taking his abroad. Do you think it will counter what the president said when it comes to, let's be honest with each other? He said we're losing billions on graft.
Most of us failed in mathematics, but there's one thing we knew. Anything times 0 is equals to?
0.
What Ruto is doing, there's a 0. So whatever Ruto is doing in America, times 0 is equals to 0. That 0 is the fact that he's attacking a government of which he's a member. And he's saying so from the land of people who have reached a level of civilization where once you disagree with a person, you quit. Even for very small things. If the DP disagreed with the president in a civilized society, even over a very small thing, he quits.
Okay.
So whatever Ruto is doing, he must multiply with 0. And the answer becomes 0.
So even
they can't listen to you.
Even if he goes there and says Raila Odinga is a puppet of the government, he goes out there says, for the first time actually saying that Uhuru Kenyatta is a refugee in the opposition, looking like he's hiding under the arms.
All those things, they don't take you serious.
But do you think that is
true? In communication, the message you send is successful on the basis of a number of factors. Not just the message, the content. In communication, there is a message which is the content of what you are saying. But even you yourself, how you present it, is almost as important as a message. The debate about form and content, let's not go there. But let me say the easier part of it is credibility. It's an important aspect of communication. That if you are talking to people and you lack credibility, the message is lost. They don't receive the message because of credibility.
Credibility, according to you, is that he's still working.
He's still the deputy president to Uhuru, and he's attacking Uhuru. He's still the deputy president of the government of Kenya, and he's attacking the same government. To those people, you have no credibility.
But come back to the Mwananchi now. Someone like me watching news and hearing the deputy president saying that the president himself is hiding behind the opposition as a refugee in the opposition. Doesn't this hold water, saying that he had...
Yes. Then you don't have to tell it to Americans because they don't believe you. Come and tell us here. Here we shall believe you. Here it resonates with a number of people. Many people say, okay, true. Yeah, but to Americans, they are operating at a higher level. When you speak as a deputy, they have... Let me tell you this. When you speak to Americans as the deputy president of the republic, that office they know is a very high office. They respect you. Even if you are a poor third world country, they know for somebody to rise to the position of deputy president or president of a country, however poor, that even protocol demands when they go to somewhere, they are received as such. So once you have dismantled the credibility platform on which you are supposed to be standing as you speak to them, it does not matter what you say.
When he speaks, though, when he speaks in America, when he speaks in Kenya, he speaks as the opposition because of the things he's saying.
Yes.
Do we have an opposition right now in the country?
Of course, it depends on how you look at it. In any case, the 2010 Constitution does not talk of an opposition. No, there's no opposition. 2020 Constitution transfers a lot of power to Parliament. And in Parliament, we only have the majority and the minority. There's no opposition. It is the British system that has a royal opposition. So when people keep talking of opposition, they are missing the game. That Parliament is supposed to speak as one. Except that one side is a majority, the other side is a... They are supposed to be distinct. A distinct unit. While cooperating and working together with the other two arms. They are supposed to be there, independent arm. So, for Parliament to operate in that manner according to the 2020 Constitution, you cannot talk of an opposition. And that's why we don't have the opposition in the architecture of the 2020 Constitution.
So right now it's whoever speaks...
But by opposition, of course, you mean people who can criticize government, throw barbs and stones. That, of course, is now coming from within government itself. So that's why I'm saying that contradiction is unacceptable to the Western world. They don't work like that. And they won't listen to you. You look pitiable.
Would you say we're in a confused state right now?
This is a confused kind of thing. They will dismiss you. Us here, there's a lot of confusion around. But we have to deal with it.
When you look at the president's response to all this accusation, even before him coming out and talking to Raila, people would then think, why didn't the president try to approach Ruto again, bring him back home so that we can have one
But the president has said he has talked to Ruto. He has told us, and Ruto has not denied. At the Bomas of Kenya, he turned back. He was speaking on there, and he looked back and said, Ruto here can agree with me or not. Ruto has not disputed it. Say, I briefed him all the way. And you know you cannot dispute the president briefed you and you are talking. Because they hold the intelligence. They can produce the facts. And you look stupid. So, it is true, I want to believe, because Ruto hasn't disputed it, that the president briefed him all along.
Not about that though, but after the confrontation, after the fallout, this is probably the right time for the president to try and do, Raila, Ruto, please come back, let's try to have a conversation on this. Don't you think this is the right time?
One could argue that that was not possible because of Ruto's reaction. That immediately the handshake happened, he became wild. He became wild and untamable. You could not tame a wild cat. Yeah. How are you asking Ruto to go in the forest and bring a wild cat? I brought my cat here, a very nice small kitten, whatever they call them. And it just joined the wild cats around here. So I couldn't bring it back. It could even eat me.
So do you think this is why we see the distinction between Raila Odinga and William Ruto when it comes to your outlook on presidential, your perception that Ruto is going more for power and Raila is ready to work with the president? Or is Raila seeing the long-term game that Ruto is not seeing? Is that quite possible?
Both Raila and Uhuru are for the long term. They look at what has punctured this country and they want to repair it. And I support them and I agree with them. That unless you repair this, unless you deal with these things like betrayal and entitlement, this country will never move. And that's what they are dealing with. That explains why, therefore, Uhuru may not have found it very necessary to urge Ruto to join them. Because ultimately, however well he behaved, it will still have been Raila. Because this dream is big. Uhuru and Raila have a big dream and vision for this country. That kind of vision must go beyond the ambition for power which Ruto seems to have. For Ruto, it is power in 2022. I'm not saying he'll use it badly. He can get this power and turn this country around, so, which is good. But he's focused on 2022 to get the president. Uhuru and Raila on the other side are, on the other hand, are focused on a bigger picture, a bigger dream for the country, in terms of repairing the damage. In order that this country may move forward, you have to address the damage that we have caused since 1963. That's what handshake and BBI are about. Then I don't think that vision of handshake and BBI can work well with Ruto.
Do you think Ruto's supporters right now can clearly see what Ruto has been telling them on dynasty versus hustler, showing that Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila Odinga, Gideon Moi going on one side, and then he himself trying to break the barrier, trying to get into government as the president? Do you think right now he's seeing it?
Yeah, people can see it, but if they had already believed it, but then it was punctured along the way, because it was a bubble which burst.
You said that before.
Yeah, so you cannot repair it now. Once a bubble, a balloon, it burst. You can't repair.
When you look at now the elections right now, it seems like to show the sovereignty of the people, to show democracy in the country. How important is it for us to have credible elections this year? We talked about that. You're going to speak about that with Simon. But how important is it for the government itself, including President Uhuru Kenyatta, to look at the elections right now to show that he's going to ensure that we have credible elections?
Elections must be as credible as possible within the limitations I have described. I have described limitations, okay?
Yeah.
That because of those limitations, we will have election, but they may not be as credible as we would wish. But within that limitation, we must have credible election. Within that limitation, within the limitations, the elections must nevertheless be credible, because elections can take down a country. Especially a country as divided as ours. You get it?
Yeah, I'm getting.
Therefore, we must at all times do everything possible to make sure the election is believable. The results are acceptable. Of course, there will always be a few things. And that's why I hold this to be extremely important. That Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta, according to me, have the numbers to win this election. I have no doubt about it. I have no doubt that William Ruto will lose this election, will not win this election. He doesn't have the numbers.
No doubt.
I have no doubt in my mind that William Ruto cannot win this election. But I've said he can become president if the other side decides to lose the election. Now, let's deal with the winning part of Raila and the not winning part of Ruto. I hold that what Uhuru and Raila ought to do is just two things. One, I have said it, to make these elections as credible as possible so that they are believable and acceptable. That's number one. Number two, because they are going to win the election, they must prepare the country for that victory. Why? Because many people in this country believe William Ruto is unassailable. Many people believe that William Ruto has already won this election. But when you look at the numbers, there's no way he can win the election. So it is up to Raila and Uhuru to prepare the country to know that Ruto is not going to win. It's Raila winning. So they must prepare the country for that. And that to me is very, very important.
When you look at credibility, though, as we wind up, where does the buck stop? Right now, are we supposed to set our eyes on the president or look at Chebukati to see that we're going to have credible elections?
Both have a role to play. In fact, not both. There are many people. The players, the politicians, have to know this country is bigger than their ambitions. And therefore, they must get together to ensure we have acceptable elections. IBC, it must know that it holds the future of this country in its hands. The president who is outgoing, he must know if something bad happened, people will write 200 years from now that things went wrong when Uhuru was president. And then as citizens, we must know politicians sometimes behave badly. We should not be carried away by their bad manners. Because the ordinary man and woman needs this country more than the politician who maybe already has a home in Australia. if somebody at my level, I cannot go anywhere else other than Kenya. How about those below me? And those below me are many. Because I must thank God where I have reached. Yeah. Not many Kenyans are where I am. Yet even where I am, and slightly above me, all these people have no other place to go apart from Kenya. So the Kenyan citizen, the voter, must know he needs this country more than Uhuru Kenyatta. No. More than Raila Odinga, more than William Ruto. These are guys who already have homes outside Kenya. They can, at the touch of a button, they are not here. They are already swimming in their swimming pool in Australia, in New Zealand, in the UK. They
have estates there.
Yes, they have things. It is important for Kenyans to know they need this country more than Uhuru Kenyatta, more than Raila, more than Ruto. For their children and their children's children.
So when it comes to looking at the person that's going to help us, first look within ourselves so that we elect the right leaders.
Yes, and that should inform two things. One, you choose the right leader. Because you know you are choosing your future.
In whose hands are we safe?
Yes. Number two, it tells you must behave well. That stone you are picking to throw could mean the end of your future. You see, that stone you are just picking to throw as a young man, it will mean the child you have, the one you got last year, has no future. So before you pick that stone, before you shout in a rally, you know, as you just say shenzi kwa rally,
think of your children.
You could be destroying the future of that beautiful girl of yours who is 2 years old. She may never live in a country. Okay. And you know, there are countries where people your age have never known peace. Yeah. They were born refugees. There's an MP in America, in Congress, what is it called? Imran, whatever she's called. Yeah. She was a refugee here in Kenya. Yes.
Went to become a Congress lady.
There are people who are 40 years, 50 years, and they have been refugees all their life. We must conduct ourselves in this election in a manner to ensure there is peace during and after election.
Okay, let's find the conversation there. Until we do have these conversations again, thank you so much for tuning in to today's political conversation. My name is Jadiel Kabiro here with Herman Manyora. I do hope you have yourself a lovely weekend. Let's meet next week. Have yourself a lovely rest of your day.